Are you struggling with thinking about what you want to do, but actually doing it? If you are, you're probably not alone. So many of us go through life saying we want to do something, but at the end of the day, how much of it did we actually do? Today, we're going to get into that. Welcome back to the Self Leadership Lab. These Tuesday episodes are a short reflection on something that I've been thinking about this week to help us all govern our inner world so that our outer world reflects the people that we want to be. So today we're going to talk about, are we thinking or are we doing? For those of you who have followed my writings or my podcast in the past know that I oftentimes talk about we need to think less and do more. And I find so many people get caught up in thinking about something, but not taking the next step of actually doing it. So why is that? Why was that the case for me so many years ago? Because thinking, I think, is so easy to do, right? There's no consequences. That you don't have to put anything on the line. You don't have to fail. But at the end of the day, if you think something but don't do it, you're failing yourself. You're losing trust in yourself. You're losing the ability to tell yourself that this is something I want and I went out to do it. So I know all this because I was that guy. For many years, I would say something. I want to write a book. I want to lose weight. I want to do this. But did I really want to? As I wrote in my book, The Easy Hard versus Hard Hard, my dad used to say to me as a kid, how bad is your want to? And that is really critical when we're talking about thinking versus doing. If you want to do something, you're going to go out and do it. If you just think about it, you may not want it enough, or you're too scared to want it enough. So how do we get over that? Well, I guess my Rosetta Stone in all of this was when I began to limit the amount of time I would allow myself to think every day. I used to wake up in the morning and, you hear about all these morning routines and stuff people preach about today. And my morning routine was to walk around and think about things that I wanted to do. And if I wasn't careful, this could take an hour, sometimes 2 hours. And then I would start with my days, my tasks, the work that I had to do that day. And before I knew it, I hadn't done any of those things. So initially, I limited myself to 30 minutes a day. And out of that 30 minutes, I would come up with 3 things that I would immediately do. 3 tasks that I wanted to accomplish before I ended my day. And why 3? I don't know. I just felt 3 was doable and it would set some parameters on my day. But there were 3 things that I could check off every day. And so over time, I was doing this, and I found that 30 minutes was a little bit too long in my thinking process, right? I was doing it for 30 minutes, limiting myself to that. But in those 30 minutes, once I kind of self-assessed, a lot of that time was spent negativity, building self-doubt, not really honing in on the 3 things or the things I wanted to accomplish kind of in the long term. And it was filling me with anxiety and those sort of things. So I heard on a Tim Ferriss podcast the concept of easy pages. Now, I know I've talked about this before, but it's so critical to my development. I wanted to put it out again today. 3 easy pages or daily pages is simply you take, a notebook, and you write 3 pages. And once you get to the 3rd page, the end of it, you stop. Well, I've now gotten that down to where that takes me about 10 or 15 minutes, depending on how tired I am or how the flow's going that day. And what I like about this is that it's a stream of consciousness. You're just putting, your thoughts down on a page. Sometimes they're negative, sometimes they're positive. But at the end of it, it kind of gets rid of all that thinking for the day and allows you to move into doing. So the more you process it or allow yourself to stop thinking and start doing, I think you're going to get out of this trap that so many people are stuck in that, hey, I say I want to do this and I don't. Another thing I talk about a lot is the more you tell yourself something but don't do it, the harder it becomes. So if I tell myself I'm going to, walk a mile today, but I don't do it tomorrow. By the time it gets to Friday or Saturday or Sunday, it becomes that much harder to do it because your brain's starting to protect you. So a lot of times the brain is the most powerful tool that we have. But a lot of times, it's also the most detrimental tool we have because it stands in the way of our doing because it wants to protect you. It's like, well, if I start writing a book, people may not like it. Well, I'm here to tell you, who cares? If you want to write a book, write a book. I think it was Seneca who said, if you want to become a great writer, start writing. Anything you want to do, you have to start doing it. So, how does this relate to the whole easy, hard versus hard model that I've come up with? Well, easy, hard is, typically, I define it as working for the approval of others. Well, in a lot of ways, that's what thinking or overthinking does. It is the approval of others because you're not putting yourself out there. You're not getting on stage, giving the speech. You're not publishing your book. You're not shooting the podcast. You're not doing a whole host of things because you're scared of failure. But are you scared of failure for yourself? Are you scared of failure in the eyes of others? So once you can get past that, and find what your hard is. What is your true want to in life? All those things kind of fade away. You're not doing it for your neighbor. You're not doing it for your coworker. You're doing it for you. Not only does that feed your soul, but it encourages you and inspires you to do more and think less. Like I said earlier, the more we think, the more self-doubt, the more what would Bob say, what would Mary say, comes into your head. Once you find your hard, the only person you say is, what would Bobby say? And I know if Bobby really wants to do this, he's going to go out there and do it. So you may ask, well, I'm in this spot where I feel stuck and I have all these great thoughts, these ambitions, these visions. How can I get them out of my head and start doing something about them? Well, again, it really all comes back down to a self-evaluation and self-assessment of where you are. So take a look. I encourage you to write down the 3, 5, 10 things that you've been telling yourself, maybe over the past week. It could be over the course of your life. Write those down, the things that you've told yourself you want to do, but you didn't do. And pick one of them. And today, do something about that. Let's just use the same example again. I want to write a book. If that's on your list and you wanted to write a book, write the first sentence. You don't have to write the first chapter. You don't even have to write the first paragraph. Just write the first sentence. And tomorrow, do the same. The next day, do the same. And eventually, you're going to start opening up that cognitive space. You're going to start building trust in yourself. You're going to not even think about writing a book because you are writing a book. I also encourage you, once you take this step, tell a friend. Tell a friend, hey, I've started my book today. Because not only does that give you accountability, but it also gives you a promise to someone else that you're going to probably go out there and fulfill. And I'm not here to tell you that you need to work for the promise of someone else, but sometimes you need that inspiration. You need that battle buddy, to use an old Army talk, to push you over the edge. So if you're in this position where day after day you say, oh man, I want to do this. Well, really identify, is this something you want to do? Further say, this is the one thing I'm going to do, and then go and do it. Repeat this for 7 days. That's kind of the theme of these Tuesday talks, is repeat it for 7 days. And then next week, do another self-evaluation. Did you move the needle? Did you write 7 sentences? Maybe you got really inspired and you've written 7 paragraphs or 7 chapters. You know, the world, the limits that you place in your world, once you remove those, who's to say how much is right for you? You're going to know in your soul what's right. You know, and I like the 1 sentence a day kind of metaphor or the example here, because all of us have time to write 1 sentence. So whatever you do, make it small enough, make it repeatable, and then keep doing it, and watch the confidence. Watch it's going to push you to a place where you're going to stop thinking. I promise you this. So try this for a week and let's see what happens. And if this opens the door for you, I'd love for you to drop me a comment, because I'd like to hear how others tackle this problem, because we're all going to do it differently. As I talk about a lot, we're all an N of 1. Find what works for you and go after it. But if you haven't found that thing yet, try this, see if it works, and then, think about it, but don't overthink about it. If you need to alter that, please alter it for you, because what I tell you to do may not work for you, but I can promise you this. Thinking about something will never accomplish it. Go out there, take an action, and get it done. Hey, as always, I'm honored that you took the time to listen today. If you like this, please share it with one person that you think may benefit from it. And I look forward to talking to you all again next week. Until then, go out there and take action, lead yourself, and have the best day, week you can possibly have.